Welcome to my version of First Things First. Nick Wright's quarterback mountain. The most unbiased, the most grounded, the most amazing quarterback rankings in the NFL, in all of sports talk. That's what everyone says. I think it's amazing. I appreciate all the positive feedback. It's what you guys say. You guys say it's the best, most grounded, or the most unbiased. I appreciate it. Thank you. I try my best. This mountain is done differently, though. Okay, it is strictly this past week. That's it. Nothing else. Nothing to do in the past. Nothing to do with week 3. Nothing to do with week 7. Nothing to do with last year. It is not a rich tapestry. It is specifically, what did you do this last week? That's all I care about. That's the only thing that matters. That way the quarterbacks can actually move. There is actually mobility. There's actually changes. Also, the biggest problem with this mountain is that it's not just who has the best numbers. It's not just, oh, so-and-so threw for 5 touchdowns and 300 yards and blah. No, I really consider what are you working with? What were you asked to do for your team in that game? Were you going up against a tough team? Unfortunately, this style, you do take a hit when you're playing against not a great team. It's just the way it is. If it's an easy game for you, it's just not as impressive to me. 'Cause otherwise we would just keep putting the quarterbacks through for the most yards, the most touchdowns and call it a day. And that's boring to me. So without further ado, let's get into it. At the bottom, we got some rough games. We got Aaron Rodgers. We got Tua Tagovailoa. We got J.J. McCarthy. We got Trevor Lawrence, Jacoby Brissett, and Bo Nix. None of these quarterbacks played particularly well. Jacoby Brissett really could only do so much. It's not like I don't. It's not. Even like Jacoby Brissett played so bad, honestly. He was pressured at an insane amount. He was most in the NFL, 27. And J.J. McCarthy also had 22 pressures. So, we know what happens when quarterbacks are under pressure, but J.J. McCarthy made some really bad decisions, unfortunately for Jacoby Brissett, which again, I don't even put all the blame on him, but all the sacks and the fumbles that really just led that game to get completely out of control. So unfortunately, that does fall on his shoulders. I mean, I know he made some nice plays, but he was hardly the reason for that game. Even had 2, here you go interceptions, here you go, you want the ball, here you go moments. It's not like B. Nix to me played the worst game, but going up against the Las Vegas Raiders, I just expect way more than that game. 150 yards, 57.1 completion percentage, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions just wasn't particularly a great game for him. Aaron Rodgers, again, I don't blame Aaron either, but he was inaccurate. There were some throws to be made that he simply missed. Again, he's not. He wasn't the problem with the offense, but he wasn't the solution. And that's really what this comes to here. For this bottom row, it's always, sometimes you're down there, and it's not because you necessarily did anything wrong or played particularly wrong or you're the reason why you lost. But were you the solution? And none of these quarterbacks were the solution. And again, I know 2-1. I think he's the only quarterback on this though. Oh, and Bo Nix. They won. But you're not they won because of 2. They won because of Bo. Just not the way it works. Now the next row, we got Jordan Love, Daniel Jones, Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, and Michael Penix Jr. This is actually a really interesting row right here. Jordan Love, I'm recording this right after this game which I live streamed on 1 a.m. Jordan Love, it's not that he played bad, but he didn't play great. He played okay. And in a game where you got to have high-level game management, he did not. He tried to make a play, and that's what led to that fumble. Yeah, it was great defense by the Eagles in that moment, but that fumble was specifically because he was trying to do something. He was trying to make a play, and that directly took points off the board, and that has devastating consequences. And that's different to me than what Jalen Hurts did, because Jalen Hurts had a fumble as well, but that was truly a great play by the Packers defense, punching that out. And unfortunate for Jalen Hurts because he fell on a Packer, so his nobody part was down, and so that's definitely more. To me, I credit the Packers defense more. And then he missed some throws. There were some throws that they highlighted on the broadcast that Troy Aikman was discussing that Matt LaFleur was really upset, and there was plays to be made that Jordan Love just simply did not. And, so he had to drop. Daniel Jones, again, not a terrible game by him. He had been playing so much better, and right now, again, going up against the Falcons. Falcons definitely have a pretty feisty defense as well. They're a feisty team in general. Again, he had the interception. The 1 touchdown pass that he had was kind of a YOLO, but I mean, it was just a great catch too. But, not a terrible game, just not the best game. Baker Mayfield, again, credit to the Patriots defense. It's not like Baker played particularly bad by any stretch of the imagination. I think his box score is also a little cooked because that final drive when it was 2 scores, the Patriots were totally happy, just giving him yards and a touchdown. They're just waiting for the clock to wind down. So a big chunk of his game came from that final drive. And he didn't play terrible. He didn't play great. I think he just played okay, kind of good. And it was the same thing with Michael Penn. Like again, Penix didn't do anything particularly wrong. Had a terrible completion percentage, 42.9%, 177 yards, 1 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and his adjusted completion percentage was 58.3%. And so what does that mean? It means that he was not accurate, okay? It's not like he was just having all these drops here. There were some drops, which could have been big moments, but he was also just fundamentally inaccurate. And then we got Josh Allen. A lot of people want to blame Josh Allen for that loss. I do not. Josh Allen was hardly great, hardly special. The 1 interception was definitely bad. The 1 fumble again. He carried that pile like 15 yards or however many yards it was. He had 2 Dolphins like on top of him and they slugged it. I mean, like that was Josh Allen just being like a cartoon monster at that point. Didn't work out for him, but I'm just not putting that on him. He had that 1 scramble 3rd and long which was honestly insanely impressive to see. But still hardly a great game from him, but definitely a better game than everyone else at the bottom row. And then the next row we got Jones, Jared Goff, Lamar Jackson, and Sam Jordan. Now it became really difficult to parse this all out. I think Jones actually played great. Now, it's a little bit hard because the score got away from them, and so the Rams defense is going to change a little bit. But the Rams defense is legit. They made that game as competitive as you could. I think Jones dealing with what? He's been dealing a team that's just been so messy. A terrible defense as well that's also just been so injured and whatnot. Players in now the lineup. Jones is really impressing me right now. 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 319 yards, 84.6% completion percentage. It's just high level, man. A 115 passer rating. I actually want to make Jones even higher, honestly. If the game was closer, it would have been easier for me to do that. But I had to just leave it at that. And now Jared Goff. I know lots of people are going to be upset because he played great. He really did, 75.8% completion percentage, 320 yards, 3 touchdowns. A passer rating of 135.9. It was against Marcus Mariota and the Commanders. Just a team that is just not doing well at all. And it's just hard for me. It's hard for me. Like, I struggle with that and what Matthew Stafford. Like, it's just when you blow out a team that's just clearly circling the drain. It's just hard. It really is. It's hard for me. Again, it's a great game in isolation and I'm fine with it, but it doesn't impress me as much. It just doesn't. And listen, in a lot of ways, I can sometimes talk a game up like that, and even Jared Goff's game up like that, because it was a flawless game. And when you play flawlessly against a bad team, that does impress me. Yeah, in a lot of ways, Goff and the Lions are just victims of their own success in that moment. And in a lot of ways where I have Goff, I wish I put Stafford, or excuse me, yeah, I wish I switched them, honestly. But like I said, they both played opponents that you're just like, So it's just hard. It really is. I still struggle with those rankings in that regard. Lamar Jackson, again, I hardly think he played this great game. I thought he managed that game pretty well. I think the Vikings have a great defense, and I think they did a great job taking away a lot of the big plays for Lamar and this offense. And this was less about Lamar being Lamar and having this spectacular game and whatnot, but he took care of the ball. He did what he needed to do. He used his legs in meaningful moments, and they had 4 drops, because people will look at his completion percentage and his total yards. He had a 58.6% completion percentage and only 176 yards. The Baltimore Ravens had 4 drops. His adjusted completion percentage would have been top in the NFL at 84%. Nearly 20% of his passes were dropped. So can't particularly put that all on Lamar. Exactly. So, a little bit tough there. And I did not know what to do with Sam Darnold because Sam Darnold, that game was over in a blink of the eye. Literally 1 minute into the second quarter, They were already up 28-0 and 35 to, the game was over. And Sam Darnold played great. For what he was asked to do. He only threw the ball once in the second half. So, he also gets knocked for that. He was 10 for 12, 83.3% completion percentage, 178 yards, 14.8 yards per attempt, 1 touchdown. He did have the 1 interception, which was also fluky, bounces off someone's helmet. He also did have the fumble and whatnot. So, again, he played great, but obviously in an incredibly limited, narrow role. So, he also kind of gets knocked for that as well. But, like I said, I don't know what to do with those games. That is the hardest part about doing a single game basis. 'Cause you're like, well, he actually played great. What do you want him to do? And it's like, I know, but that's the benefit of it changing week to week, 'cause then it's not like you're frozen there in time. It's just how it is right now. And he gets to rise up in a much more meaningful game this coming weekend. And now we got, and I already regret this, Rowe. Mainly because of Stafford. More than anything, honestly. 'Cause Stafford did play great. The 4 touchdowns, 280 yards. Again, as I said before, obviously going up against just a defense that is absolutely decimated. In a lot of ways, especially because they played each other, M. Jones and Jared Goff. Like, I was more impressed with what M. Jones had to deal with in that game. I really was. But Stafford has obviously been playing great. Stafford, didn't put a wrong foot down that entire game. So, I do appreciate what he's been able to accomplish there. And, obviously ballin' right now and just playing at an incredibly high level. Make no mistake about it. That. And Justin Herbert going up against the Steelers, there was nowhere for him to really go with the ball throughout the course of that game. Any of the tight window throws, some of the plays that he had to use his legs. He still has 17 pressures, which was, a couple shy from top 4 in the NFL. Still had to deal with 3 drops in that game as well. His O-line is awful. He's got to get rid of the ball so quickly. He's got to use his legs. Just the sheer burden that Justin Herbert is dealing with, is just impressive to me. And the throw that he made to Tulad Maki, where there was just 0 room for him to get that in there, will just continue to impress me. And then Jalen Hurts. This is the game that I live streamed, and I was watching with everyone. I'm just so impressed with Jalen Hurts. Management. And this is why I put Jalen Hurts' game above that of, say, Sam Darnold or Jared Goff. Because that game, again, in isolation, you could say Sam Darnold had a better game, Jared Goff had a better game, M. Jones had a better game. And it's all fair. 100% it's all fair. But Jalen Hurts had to make plays. There was no margin of error in that game. That game, the margin of error, it was just a sliver. And you're on the road. I don't think Kevin Palulo was their offensive coordinator is doing the best of jobs. And they really highlighted, in the broadcast, Joe Buck kind of went through a whole replay, like, leading up to the very end of the game, like showing all the work that Jalen Hurts had to do with his legs, extending the plays, running away from Micah Parsons. Jalen Hurts had to carry a big load there, and his box score wasn't through the roof by any stretch of the imagination. And like I talked about earlier, he had the 1 fumble, but that was just a great defensive play. And that was on a play that he was still carrying the workload, that he then had to go use his legs to get the first down. But he had this beautiful throw to Devontae Smith, but ended up being the big difference maker. This was definitely more of a defensive game, but it was so close that it was just like, all Jalen Hurts needs to do is make a mistake and it's over. And he did not do that. He was just incredibly smart with his legs, made really high-level passing and got to have it moments. This one beautiful pass while scrambling on a 3rd down to Will Shipley, okay? Not A.J. Brown, not Devontae, had some great high-level throws and important 3rd down conversions to Dallas GD and company. And so just a really impressive game in a true playoff environment. I'm watching that whole game, and the live stream was also saying, like, this feels like a playoff game. And so that's why, mainly because of the environment, Lambeau, how close it was, margin of error, non-existent, and just seeing Jalen Hurts succeed in that role just really impressed me. Then we got the top 2. This is what's also going to flip some heads here. Drake May and Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart is genuinely carrying that team. And we saw the perfect example of that when he got knocked out of the game and Russell Wilson came in. What did that team look like? Not so good, okay? I mean, Jackson Dart has no one on that offense. He's got no run support. I mean, he's carrying the weight of that New York Giants team, and he's succeeding. And it's just, I'm watching that game, and it's very impressive. And for the pretty much that whole game, he's out playing Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick. Like, he just is. And that's why I said I might just kind of change this to like impressive mountain and not like who I think played the best, but who impressed me the most. That might start to slightly make more sense. But I've just been wildly impressed with what Jackson Dart has had to do with now. His coach got fired, you know? Like, really, really impressed. And Drake May. This was arguably the hardest defense that he went up against on the road. Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been playing really well. You know, you're going up against Todd Bowles, and like Romo talked about, like Drake May's going up against defenses that he's just never seen right now, right? Going up against Todd Bowles, he's seeing looks that just he's just not going to ever really understand in this moment of time, and he succeeded. I mean, he had 16 pressures and only took 1 sack. Some of the throws and the plays that he made, I mean, they were truly breathtaking. I mean, there was this one throw for a first down, or the way how he moved in the pocket, avoiding the pressure. I mean, and it wasn't just based off of quickness and strength, it was just his processing speed and then his ability to get the ball out. I mean, it was like slow motion, just poetry in motion, man. Like, it was perfection. It was so impressive. And that's why it's not about, you know, just throwing for 350 yards, 3 touchdowns, rushing for it's not always about that. It's not always about that. And this was also a game against the Bucs that, you know, again, credit to the Patriots defense as well for stepping up. But this was also a game that, like a lesser quarterback gives away and they lose. And considering who Drake May is right now, what their team is asking him to do, yeah, they had a couple breakout runs that then really boosted the run game box score, but throughout the course of the game, they could not rely on that run game. They could not rely on that run game. And it was so obvious. It was so obvious. And even Romo before, whatever his name is, had this huge breakout run. Romo's like, they're doing the same run play again, and I don't like it. And then it turns into a big run. He's like, I love it. I love it. And he was like, being sarcastic, because it was just like, they could not run the ball. They could not really have success if it wasn't for those 2 huge runs, which he did benefit from. But throughout the course of the game, it was just Drake, we need you to be great. We need you to be great. And he answered the call. I find it wildly impressive. And then, of course, at the top of the mountain, this man who's been getting a lot of love and a lot of hate, Caleb Williams. His box score is not really going to show how good he was. They had 5 drops in that game. 5. I don't know if it's a full 5 because I think a couple of the drops would have been really, really high-level catches. Really high-level catches. But there were still plenty of drops to go around. Easily could have had well over 300 yards, a couple touchdowns, but he really gets the topic of what he did to lead them back against the Giants. He really put the team on his shoulders in those moments. And what he was able to do with his legs, some of the throws that he made on the run, he was so comfortable. He really was. And like I said this in my post-game video, like he was just so open in space. He just felt comfortable really for truly the first time that it just felt like he saw the field, he felt the field, and he was comfortable with the decisions that he was making. Whether they always ended up benefiting him, you know, he wasn't second guessing himself. He was just playing free, and it was awesome to see. And again, he wasn't perfect. He had some mistakes. Like I said, Jackson Dart, I think, and it's hard because of all those drops, you don't know what some of those drops would have led to necessarily. But, you know, as Greg Olson said it, you can't play quarterback any better in those final 2 drives. And he literally put the team on his back, on his shoulders, and was the direct reason why they ended up coming away with that win against the New York Giants. And so he is at the top of my mountain for today for, what is it, week 10 or whatever the heck week it is. Yeah, like I said, it's tough. It's tough to have someone like Jared Goff and have such a great game. Matthew Stafford, I was talking to people in the live stream and I was like, who do you think should be at the top? And a lot of people were like, Stafford. And I originally had Stafford at 2. because it's not right to left or left to right or whatever. But I originally had him on the second level because I still think Caleb Williams is deserving to be at the top. But I ultimately put him down because I really was more impressed with Jackson Dart, because it was going to be between that and Jackson Dart, and I was like, at the end of the day, man, I really was watching Jackson Dart and just being like, this guy has to do everything. This guy has to be the leading rusher. He's got to make all these big throws. He's got to scramble for his life. And that's why I'm just really going by, when I'm watching this game, who am I fundamentally impressed with, not who's just throwing to like wide open receivers all game, who's just rolling a bad team, who's, it'll always be more impressive to me to see what a Jackson Dart is doing in that moment. I mean, also because he's a rookie as well, so that also kind of benefits him. And yeah, this is the mountain. Hopefully it makes sense to y'all. Hopefully I explained it well enough, because it's definitely a mix. I feel like the previous weeks were a little bit more straightforward. But this mountain is definitely meant to be a jumping off point for conversation. And again, to be so clear, because people still seem to be confused, this is strictly this past week. That's it. Nothing else. No predictions. Nothing to do with last season. Nothing to do with even week 9 or week 8. I don't care about that. This is strictly, what did you do? And it's not just your numbers. It's not just you threw for 350 yards and had 4 touchdowns. Congrats. That's not what it's about. If it wasn't, I would just go to the rankings. I could do it right now. Here we go. It would be Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff, M. Jones, Baker Mayfield. They all threw for 4 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. Great. H, not what we're about. Jared Goff threw the most yards. M. Jones threw the second most yards. Josh Allen, third most yards, right? Like, it's just not how we're doing it. Let's just go by who has the highest passer rating, Like they always joke, for the tiers, it's not the standings. And it's the same thing for this game as well, or for this mountain as well. It's not just who has the best stats. It's what did your team need from you? What did you do in the got to have it moments? And unfortunately, because of that, you will get a little burnt when you're playing a bad team, or if you just win big and your team doesn't need much out of you. Just the way the mountain goes, but the mountain is fair for everyone. Sam Darnold was at the top, now he's at the 4th level, right? Like, it's just Bo Nix was real high up before, now he's at the way bottom. Josh Allen was at the way top 2 before, now he's at the second to last level. Just the way it goes, man, just the way it goes. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about my quarterback mountain specifically for week 10? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me, disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're all on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.